we had a slight recess here due to technical difficulties, so we're going to resume now, and we'll pick up. We're going to rewind the tape a little bit here and give Jack a chance to re-summarize, since we missed a significant portion of what he had to say. So Jack Carroll, go down the hall for your summary regarding your component of the human services plan for the block grant.
And a quick recap, we've made significant progress in reducing overdose deaths in the past few years, but with the pandemic, we've started to see some of that slip away. And so as a result, we want to continue to focus on the opioid health crisis as a top priority. Some of the activities that we think have been contributing to the success that we did have were increasing access to all forms of treatment, especially MAT. I've been pleased to see that our providers over the last few years, more and more of them have integrated the various MAT options into their treatment regimen. We expect to see that continue. We were able to access some of the additional federal funding to support some of the cost of our opioid intervention corps. We think that's been a positive factor, and we hope to continue that. The current funding that we have runs through the end of September, and so we have requested additional funding for the next federal fiscal year. We are pleased with the success of the Vivitrol program at the Cumberland County Prison. We were successful a year ago getting a new 2-year grant to expand that. Only 1 year has expired on that, so we have another year to go with that additional funding. JFT has done a good job with the warm handoff. Even throughout the pandemic, the hospitals were very welcoming of the JFT staff to come and attempt to do brief intervention with folks who show up at the emergency rooms with a substance use disorder. In the time that they've been doing that, about 1.5 years, they have been dispatched to meet with 288 patients, and almost 60% of those, 172, have agreed to go into treatment. So we're pleased with that outcome and intend to continue that. With regard to naloxone, Geisinger Holy Spirit continues to lead our effort. We had, if you recall, the commissioners designated them as the central coordinating entity for distributing naloxone to our first responders. They've been doing that for the last couple years and have reapplied to continue in that role for the new year. They've also played the lead role in training and equipping our 16 municipal police departments with naloxone, and so that effort continues as well. We are grateful to have police supplementing and complementing the effort of our first responders. To date, since we've been doing that since the end of 2015, there have been 314 individuals in Cumberland County whose lives have been saved, whose overdoses have been reversed by police officers administering naloxone. The RAISE project has done some great work training community members in using naloxone and distributing naloxone to friends and family members. That was interrupted by the pandemic because we couldn't have in-person training events. So we asked, and they did transition the model to a virtual training. And they've operated that once back in June and had about a dozen participants. And we're able to, after the fact, then distribute naloxone. So we expect to continue that as well. The only other thing I'll say is that while that's our overall priority in driving us, another concern that we have is the same one that Sue mentioned about the state budget. The pandemic has created financial headaches for everyone, all levels of government. And the state certainly is looking at a deficit. We know that the tax revenue for the year that just ended came in way under. We know that we only have a 5-month flat level funded budget. And so we're very concerned about the potential for state funding cuts and what that might do. One of our priorities is to continue to make sure that our network of providers, number one, survive the pandemic and the lost revenue that they've experienced during that, but also any potential funding cuts that we don't face. Questions or comments?
Hi. Was Sandy coming over, do you know?
She's on the phone.
She's on the phone, okay, so then she would be the next section for the Human Service Development Fund and the Homeless Assistance Program.
Okay, Sandy, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. Okay. Development Fund. Mostly it is a financial, program. County homeless assistance program to support, human service agencies in the county, who provide management of state harbor, Marinette, domestic violence. Cumberland County provides rental assistance, which is the program that offers homeless prevention services, assisting clients to obtain and maintain affordable housing, which has been and continues to be a challenge in the county. We have had, of course, the COVID-19 has impacted rental assistance because there has been the moratorium on evictions, which is being lifted tomorrow. So I guess stay tuned at that point. The Cumberland County Homeless Assistance Program work with all human service agencies and, of course, the Cumberland County Housing Redevelopment Authority, so we can assist, all clients experiencing homelessness, trying to coordinate services and provide valuable resources. And the goal for the whole program is to achieve independence and self-sufficient living. The Human Service Development Fund also supports several human service programs, to include aging services, Contact Helpline, which is a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day listening and information and referral service. And then Cumberland County has the Cumberland Cares for Family program. Now that program provides in-home education and support for children ages 0 to 5 and their families. We work closely with, that program works closely with our Cumberland County Children and Youth who refers families to this program and provides some funds also through their prevention programs. So we really don't see any projected changes in the program this year in homeless assistance or human service development. As I mentioned, COVID has had some impact because we've not had people looking for rental assistance, and there is CARES Act money out there right now. So it obviously could have some impact. It's really too soon to say. Homeless assistance, we just found out just this week, has been given some money to use through November for rental assistance and homeless assistance programs. So we'll obviously stay tuned to the CARES Act money that's out there. There's other money available too that some other agencies have taken advantage of, of course, rental assistance. But as always, the programs work diligently with the funds that they have available and collaborate with all agencies to get the best use of the resources that we have. So, okay, any questions?
No. None. No, we're good.
Okay.
We can move on to who is next.
That would be the extent of the different sections of the plan. The plan is to be submitted to the state by July 20th, so your approval of that will be needed prior to that time so that I can submit it by the 20th.
Do we not have some other speakers to address this?
Not for
Not for this, okay. Okay, so last chance for questions, and we're taking action this Monday. Okay, so it's not the last chance for questions, but what's your best? Okay, that being the case, there's no input from the public. Any other additional staff comments to be taken into consideration? And there's no members of the public here, so we don't have any public comments for the hearing. That being the case, I'll entertain entertain a motion to draw the hearing to a close.
We'll move to do that.
Do we need a second for that one, Keith?
You can either declare.
I'll declare it as the, I can second that, okay. All right, very good, thank you all for being here and for, your patience through the technical issues. So, we're going to close. You guys don't need to hang around, we're gonna move over, we're gonna transition over into our workshop meeting, which Stacy will run. But excuse me, those now. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
I'll just handle that agenda item if you want to go.
That, well, she has some contract stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Trip worth it.
That's.
Might as well do it all. Okay, well, good morning, commissioners. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 9th, 2020 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop Meeting. If you'll please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance by saying,
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And at this time, I open up the floor to public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3. And I'll ask Robin Tolan to provide any additional comments regarding the Human Services Plan.
The only thing that I would add is that we did not receive any public testimony. There was a request made that if anyone wanted to provide public testimony, that they could do so, but also submit it in writing to me, and we did not receive any, so there wasn't any other public comment about the plan at this point.
Thank you, Robin. Commissioners, do you have any follow-up questions? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is contracts and grants. And agenda item 4.1, A through C, consists of existing contracts, contracts extensions, or addenda with no additional costs or increase to the county. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments regarding the children and youth, tax assessment, tax claims, or the treasurer's office contracts? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 4.2, which consists of new contracts, vendor services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. And I will contact Jamie Ryder. She is going to be joining us to discuss the agreement with Diacontrol Family and Community Ministries.
Hello, James speaking.
Hi, Jamie. Are you able to discuss the Children and Youth Services contract with us, please?
Yes. This contract is for it's an addendum to Diacon contract that we already have with them. They have, during the COVID, decided to provide services for one of their typically residential programs, so weekend alternative programs, and they took that and modified it to do it virtually. And in doing so, they had reduced the rate for that program because of not doing in-person overnight with them. So this is just an addendum to add that to the contract so that we can pay them for the services they provided.
Any questions for Jamie?
So is this a addendum to a current contract?
I'm sorry, an addendum to what?
Is this an addendum to a current contract?
Yes, we have a current contract with them for 1920, and they decided that they were going to modify that program, so we're just doing an addendum to their 1920 contract because they did provide services during 1920, and then it's going to be included in their 2021 contract.
Okay, so there really is no total increase or decrease?
Well, there would be a decrease, I guess, because the typical service is 100 and something per day, and this is reducing that for anyone that was participating in the program.
Okay, just so that everyone is aware for the record, then the contract contract approval process form should be amended before the meeting on Monday when we approve or disapprove, whatever we do.
Well, and I guess I want to make sure that you understand that this is actually an additional, because we're still going to keep the other program in there,
Okay,
at the original rate, but this would be an additional program. So technically, we are reducing it during this time period, but both rates are still going to be in the contract. I apologize.
I just think that the contract approval process form should be clearer for the record.
Okay,
That's all.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll reach out to you, Jamie, to coordinate getting some additional information.
Okay,
Any additional questions for Jamie? Okay, thank you, Jamie.
thank you.
Next on the agenda is Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. And reaching out to Melissa Smith to provide some details. Hi, Melissa, this is Stacy calling. Would you please provide some details about the agreement for CNRC, please?
Yes, this contract is with Daniel Sharp Smart. They are removing medical waste from the facility. Mostly what it is hypodermic needles, syringes, scaffolds, that kind of stuff that they remove. There is a slight increase in the contract year over year. It's about a 6% increase. And it's the same service that we've been using for quite some time.
Melissa, what did you say is the name of the contractor?
Daniel Smart.
Okay, this contract approval process form has to be amended then also, because the contractor name on it is just Daniels. Yeah, that's the same on the agenda, so we'll want to amend that for Monday. I know that that's very, very important for the public record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does the 10,000 cover 2 years, or is it 10,000
Yes, sir, it does.
for 2 years?
Any additional questions for Melissa? Melissa, we'll reach out to coordinate updating the form.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll next call on Melissa Cavanelli, who is here to discuss the SAGE Technology Solutions addendum.
Yes, the original project was for the upgrades to courtroom 1, to get that back up and running. And near the end, when they went to put the sound panels up, Judge Maslin made the decision that he did not want them added. So this addendum is to remove the cost of the sound panels from the contract. So it's about $8,000 reduction.
Any questions for Melissa?
No.
Okay, thank you. Eric Ranovich is joining us by phone to discuss a grant application for the district attorney's office.
Runs the garage, may I help you?
Hi, may I speak with Eric, please?
Speaking.
Hi, Eric, you're on.
Okay, well, good morning, commissioners. The grant that's before you is a grant for $245,390 for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. This is a 2-year no-match grant. This is a grant that supports DUI enforcement. Typically, that's what it had been in the past. This year, the amount is up significantly over what it was in the last 2 years, because we've been saddled with some extra responsibility to also administer the grant for aggressive driving, which is like a speeding type operation, occupant protection, which is the buckle up program, and pedestrian safety. Those typically had been administered in the past by municipal police departments. They're now being administered by us. So I'm asking for the approval to accept it.
How much is the grant amount, please?
$245,390.
Does it include 34 extra cents?
Does it include 34 what?
The grant questionnaire says it's $0.34.
Oh, and 34 cents, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure, thank you.
Any additional questions for Eric?
No.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, thanks, have a good day, folks, bye.
Okay, Tammy Bender is also going to be joining us by phone.
First time Eric's making sense.
Please know I'm not a left-handed telephone dialer, so this is very hard for me.
That had been a job description.
Hi, Tammy. This is Stacy calling. Would you please discuss the contract with Huggins Actuarial Services?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. The contract before you is for Huggins Actuarial Services. They perform our annual actuarial evaluation of the workers' comp fund. We use this actuarial to determine the rates that we set and we charge to departments. It's also used to determine our minimum required fund balance that we need to carry. The contract increased from $4,837 last year to $4,972 this year. That's a $135 increase, which is 2.8%. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Tammy.
Thank you.
All right, and Adam Green is also joining us by phone. Hi, Adam. This is Stacy calling from the Commissioners Workshop. Would you please discuss the Civic Plus contract for IMTO?
Yes, good morning. It's prior to renew our Civic Plus contract. The contract total for this year is $15,507.29. It is an increase of $454 from the previous year. Now, this is to renew our website, platform, and internet system.
Any questions for Adam? No. All right, thank you, Adam.
Okay, thank you.
And joining us in person is Sue Carpon to discuss contracts and addendums for MHIDD. Sue.
All right, it's good to see you all.
Just like the person who presented to us earlier.
You're everywhere.
All right, so we have some addendums here for 2019 and 20, so we'll start with those. And those addendums for early intervention are increases to the contracts for additional services that they provided. For Jennifer Snyder, she provided an additional $1,590 worth of services. And for Behavior by Design, they provided an additional $795 worth of services. And again, as you know, these are state dollars. So mental health also has an addendum to their Diacontrol Child and Family Community Ministries. And that is for an increase of $1,400 due to additional services as well. And the other contracts that are listed there are new contracts for this new fiscal year, 2021. They are for early intervention. They're not in the same order that they are on my sheet, so. They're all decreases. And what we do is when we start the new contract for the year, we start where the agency was projected to end this year. So that's where we started this prior year. So that's where we started them all out. They all are coming in at a decrease because of the decrease in services with COVID, even though they're up and running pretty strong now with tele-intervention. So, do you want to know the amount for each one of these, or do you have it there for you? You have, okay. So, and these contracts will also be paid with state dollars. Any questions to that?
So these are some significant decreases. And is that because, that's because the services decreased?
With the COVID, yes, it
COVID.
did. Because it didn't actually get up and start running for like 30, 45 days until they were approved to do teletherapy. So there were some significant decreases there. So they're doing teletherapy, they're continuing to do that. I'll just tell you that they have some requests from families to go in there face to face. So providers have developed their policies for doing that if they're going in there face to face. I will tell you, some families don't want that. They don't want to abide by the policy for them to wear a mask as well. So we have told the providers then the option is teletherapy. And if the families refuse that, then I guess they'll have to talk to Hospital. I'm just letting you know that. There aren't a lot of families like that, but we think at this point in time, everybody should be wearing a mask. Even even their family members, so we are running into some issues like that right now.
This is leaving me concerned though. I mean, when I see here's a $20,000 difference, I mean, that means there's someone out there in terms of early intervention that isn't getting the service they need.
It is true, it is true. Some families, we just didn't want anybody in their home through COVID, and we still have it going on. And you can understand that with the medical issues that these children have.
Yes.
So they didn't want anybody to come into their home. And some of them have been very reluctant to do teletherapy, although they are starting to do that more now. And we're also picking up evaluations, which we did not do in the beginning because we weren't approved to do evaluations, teletherapy, now they are. So yeah, you are seeing some significant.
Yeah, it's concerning. It is. I'm sure it will be even more concerning next year.
We'll see what happens once
Yeah.
this starts to pick back up, but, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Sue. That concludes our contracts and grants. And so we'll move on to agenda item number 5, and I'll call on Kirk Stoner to discuss the DEP Local Climate Action Program for 2020 and 2021.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, Gary, as I recall, last fall we had worked with Dickinson College and some other folks. There was a climate change forum that was put on at Dickinson College. Following that, we had some discussions with the Board of Commissioners about the county's role in climate action planning, whether or not we wanted to take a more active role. I think at the time the direction from the board was, hey, just monitor this. We had a change of commissioners at the time. Jim was going off, Gene was coming on. In the intervening time, DEP has a program called the Local Climate Action Assistance Program. Carlisle Borough went through it late last year. It's a program where DEP works with local educational institutions to provide college students to help do initial greenhouse gas inventory for a designated area, which is the foundation there for a climate action plan. So through the program, they provide that assistance. They also provide some other consulting assistance from a group called the Local Governments for Sustainability that will work with the college students, work with the county to do the greenhouse gas inventory, then put together a climate action plan and some of the steps we could take to decrease greenhouse gas emissions in the county. The program is at no cost to the county, so all the assistance is provided through DEP. The County Planning Commission has discussed climate action planning several times. Back in February, they had made a motion to support the county taking a more active role in climate action planning, so it's an initiative that we've discussed there several times. I just received an email on Monday from DEP saying, hey, we're going to take a new cohort of communities for the program, 20 more communities throughout the Commonwealth, and we need to know by July 13th. So they gave us a week to decide whether or not we wanted to be in the program. So I apologize kind of for the quick notice of this being on the agenda. But I think what we wanted to do today was have a discussion with the board to determine that as a county, as climate action plan is something we want to become more involved in. And then if so, do we want to work with this program through DEP, which would then I would submit there's a survey we have to submit to be eligible for participation in it. So I'll leave it at that. I provided some materials. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I can't download materials for some reason right now, but so my only question is, participation obligates us in what way?
Yeah, it's a good question, Gary. So participation obligates us to go through the process of developing greenhouse gas inventory and the plan. I think if we're gonna develop a plan, then we wanna work with our partners in the community to implement the plan. So I wouldn't see this just be a county-only effort. I think that we need to work with our municipalities, our private sector businesses, and others to implement the plan. So I think we would probably be working in kind of a coordinator role for this project to get it started, and then work to bring the others to the table.
Who's we?
I would say the planning department.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to do our staff time. I think it fits well with what we're doing. It's a priority with our planning commission. I'm glad to head this up through our department.
Okay, thanks.
Kirk, there's a mention of this, isn't there, in comp plan, at least indirectly, about climate change?
Yeah, so kind of indirectly, Vince, because the hazard mitigation plan is part of our comprehensive plan. The hazard mitigation plan has a section on climate action planning, recommending that the county examine our role in that. So I think it would be consistent with that as well.
I support.
So Kirk, if the questionnaire is due on the Monday the 13th, and we have a meeting at 2 p.m. on Monday the 13th, and let's say we took action that day, is that too late?
No, I talked to Heidi, who's running this program for DEP, and she said, you know, she realizes it's a short turnaround. As long as we get her an answer by the end of July, we should be okay.
Okay.
So there's time, if you want to review the materials I sent over, any further questions, be glad to answer those on Monday.
I really like this program. I was familiar with the Carlisle Borough using it, and I know that they really liked it. So, and I think it's great that there's no cost to the county for it.
In terms of who we would partner with, Dickinson College is leading the way on a lot of some of
Yes.
the climate change issues. I've talked to Neil Leary, we work with him on a regular basis. I believe they have a strong interest in working with us on this issue. So he actually reached out to me and told me about the program. I believe they assisted Carlisle in their effort as well.
Yeah, I have no objection to participation. I just want to recharacterize something you stated, which was, you know, we did have discussion last year, at which point the recommendation from facilities was, let's continue to monitor. I'm not sure that the commissioner, that really reflected what the commissioner's desire was, but we had other priorities to deal with at the time. And the board has since indicated to John Lott, I'm pretty sure he was in the room when we had a discussion, saying we definitely want to be looking proactively at some options. Particularly, we had some contractors in who had discussed solar farm development and other potential uses for renewables and such. That seems very fitting with what we've been doing on energy conservation. And so I just wanted to recharacterize that. I think the board's generally would like to be proactive on the issue here.
The whole intent of this program, they keep mentioning, local governments need to lead by example. So I think in this case, we have an excellent track record already with what we're doing internally. There's more we can do, and then we can share those examples out with the rest of our communities in Cumberland County and see if they follow suit.
That sounds good. There's some great opportunities out there. The technology is really, especially in photovoltaics, huge leaps and bounds just in the last 18 months. Okay, do you need anything else from us? We'll put it on the agenda for Monday then.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. If any of you have any questions between now and Monday,
Right.
let me know.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt. Okay, agenda item number 6 is Commissioner's liaison reports, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Eichelberger.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot here. There is I got some updated numbers that are part of Kirk's new planning periodical newsletter. This is in regards to the county recycling center. I don't know if you've seen this already or not, but I'll just give you a quick summary. There's electronics recycling and household hazardous waste programs resumed operations in June. They were temporarily suspended, of course, with the COVID response. Electronics was resumed June 9. We have had to operate with reduced staffing there because of the COVID issue. Despite that, the site saw its third highest daily average pounds by month collected since opening in July of 17. In July, we had 8,316 pounds per day. August, it was 5,980 pounds per day. Those were in 17, by the way. Now, for June of 20, we had 4,706 pounds per day. So the gives you a little comparative analysis. So, the county did hold its, on June 18, held its first of a series of hazardous waste disposal events. And yeah, all the registration spots were filled and the event went smoothly. There were 280 residents dropping off a total of 27,016 pounds of hazardous household waste. Again, paint and paint-related products, but far away made up the majority of that. So, let's see what else. Yeah, that's really all I have on the recycling at this point. And of course, for Katie, we had the briefing yesterday, which covered a lot of ground in regards to the CARES money. That's been a big focus. And MHID has their board meeting next week, so we'll get the latest information. Of course, we did the contracts today for that, so that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Eichelberger. Commissioner Foskey.
Let's see, I have local emergency planning committee this afternoon. Tonight I will meet, tonight there's a meeting of the Drug and Alcohol Commission, so I will be participating in that. Most of my committees all meet next week. One of the interesting things that I'm doing, and Kirk and I are going together, and we are meeting with Wormleysburg and Lemoyne, and Gail Gallo at Lemoyne has been kind enough to host us next Monday, and we are going to talk about the bottleneck project and what will benefit Lemoyne and what will benefit Wormleysburg and how we can move that project together in a manner that benefits both, which I think is a great thing. I'm excited that they're even, interested in having Kirk and I along to talk about it, so that should be good. And our libraries are opened and they are doing a wonderful job, and it's a good time to get to the library and borrow something. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Foskey. Commissioner DeFilippo.
Thanks, Andy. The Ag Board met yesterday. Two items to report is Tom Moyer, who owns his farm in Silver Springs, pulled his application for this year. He will resubmit it next year, mainly due to the fact that the township has some discrepancy in their zoning map and their comp plan, which they cannot promise will be done in time so that Tom's farm can be considered. So I'll update you more on that later. The board also received a rural enterprise application, and this is pretty interesting. This is for the Glen Piper farm on Hazardous Lane in Carlisle. And what the request is to extend the trail for the Letort Park and Preserve. I'll give you just a quick narrative here. The Letort Regional Authority in South Middleton Township extended the nature trail to South Spring Garden Street, and it's along an abandoned railroad bed. The township wants to extend the trail from South Garden Street to Hazardous Lane along the same railroad trail. The farmer, the Pipers who have the farm is in conservation, has no objection to this. In fact, they're the one requesting it. And it runs right on the western edge of the property. It's not being farmed at all. And this will extend this trail about 1,000 feet. It's incidental to agriculture and the open space character of the farmland because the area is not in ag production. The township is going to take care of constructing this trail. The bed work is already there. They really just need to clean it up a little bit. And if any of you have been to the preserve, the Port Preserve, they did the headwaters, Old Watercress Farm. The trail goes right beside it, and this will extend it through some really good scenic vistas and pretty good project. So the board voted unanimously to accept that. And like you, Gene, I have most of my liaison responsibilities next week and the week after, and that would be the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, Agent Advisory Board, Capital Region Council of Governments is finally going to state meetings. And also there will be one next week for redevelopment and housing authority board, which I will have reports at the next workshop. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner DiFilippo. I would like to report that executive sessions were held on July 2nd, 2020 at 1:30 p.m., July 6th, 2020 at 2 p.m., both regarding potential litigation, and also on July 8th of 2020 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. Is there any additional business that needs to come before the board today? Hearing none, we're adjourned.